What's going on, HCP Familia? It's G Funky Boxing. I'm your host for HCP Uncensored. And, G Funk, man, let me tell you, he's a multi-talented guy. Okay, I'm over here. I'm hosting Uncensored. I'm running parental duties here. I got my kid with me. I'm the man around here. You know what I'm saying? But I want to welcome. I got a lot of people here, man. I got the one and only D-Style Boxing, man. Say what's up, man.
What's going on, everybody? You already know what's the deal. Okay, you already know qué está pasando aquí. Voy a hacer todo esto, este video, yo voy a estar hablando en español. No para todos los latinos. Es todo lo que quiero decir ahorita. I'll talk English. But shout out to you guys.
That's right, man. My main man, D-Style. And we also have the Canelo cartel in the house tonight, man. What's going on, guys?
What's happening? We have to make an appearance. We got some big stuff to talk about tonight. We're here to represent.
Yep, salute to all.
What's happening?
That's right.
Untitled Media, what's up?
Yep, and we got Untitled Media, who has got some interesting thoughts on Vergil Ortiz's deal that he just signed or whatever he went through. I've got to be honest. You guys know I'm very ignorant on the business side of boxing, and I choose to be that way about it. But Santiago, he's got some good stuff here that he's going to talk to us about that with Vergil Ortiz. So make sure that you guys listen up for that one, man. It is good stuff. So let's jump right into this thing, man. We got Run PMC. He says HCP. That's right, man. Thank you for being here.
Who's down with HCP?
You know who, man. Everybody. So, big news today, guys. Big news. Not just for us, but for the whole boxing world, man. The man, the one, the only, the face of boxing, the biggest star in boxing right now, Saul Canelo Alvarez is back, and it sounds like he's got a deal signed with Smith at 168. And I like the fight, man. I love it. So, of course, we're going to kick this thing off with the Canelo cartel. They're going to give their thoughts on this fight. And we also got news that since Luke Campbell has tested positive for COVID-19, they're thinking about, since this fight is probably going to be later in December, that they might end up throwing that fight on the undercard. That fight was scheduled for the 5th of December. I'm thinking this fight's going to be close to the end of the year. So, man, that's a hell of a card right there, man, if that's going to go through. But I want your guys' opinion. Canelo cartel, let's go.
Thank you very much, G-Funky. I got to say, this is a fight that we should all be excited about. There should be a lot more fanfare about it. But, I guess we're just used to Canelo fighting champion after champion after champion. So it's nothing new. Always ranked number one in division. No big deal. Canelo's done that before. Undefeated. Wouldn't be the first time Canelo's gone up against somebody like that. But this is a damn good fight. I got to be honest. I thought that stylistically, I thought that Plant would have given him a little bit more of a difficult fight. But I always thought Smith would present different problems. I just think it's going to be a little bit easier stylistically for Canelo to walk him down, feast on those ribs, and put him down just like he put his brother down. That's all I got for right now.
What a take there from Chicano Prophet, man. El Presidente of the cartel. No, Paul, your boy is back, man. I need to know how you feeling about it, man.
Wow, man, I'm so glad, bro, because it was, for the most part, it was just like, that Freddie Fender song. Wasted days and wasted nights. For a while, that's what it was feeling like, bro. And, at that point, I was just like, even if they want to give us that Yildirim fight, bro, I was ready, And even, all my friends and all that, everybody was like, man, what's up with Canelo? Everywhere I went, like, hey, man, when's your boy going to fight? What's he going to retire early or what? And, it's amazing news. I mean, you really couldn't, on paper, you couldn't ask for a better opponent. The dude won that Super Series and, he has the Ring Magazine belt. I forget what other belt he has. But the dude's accomplished, From 160 to 168, you really couldn't ask for a more accomplished fighter. On paper, like I said, he's probably the more accomplished champion. And it's a good fight. Looking forward to it. I hope it goes through.
It sounds like it's a done deal. ESPN put it out, and I think I have a screenshot, but I believe ESPN has put it out there, and of course I don't have a screenshot. I thought I did, but I did read it from ESPN. They announced it. The date is still kind of up in the air, but it's sounding like sometime around the 20th, which might be, I think December 20th is a Saturday. Let me check. Actually, the 19th. So I think that works perfectly with Luke Campbell and Ryan Garcia too, man. So I mean, man, that's a good card right there with those two fights. Run PMC asked a question: will this fight be on DAZN? That's a tremendous question. We don't know. I don't know that yet. Maybe some of these guys do. But Sonteo, what do you think of this fight, man?
Let me unmute myself. All right. You talking about Canelo versus Calum Smith?
Yes, sir.
I think it's a good fight to him to come back with. It's at 168. It's a good, like Chicano Prophet says, champion after champion after champion. I think it's a good one.
Definitely a good fight, man. Definitely. And D-Style, my boy, mi hermano. What do you think, man?
That's all right. Check it out. There's a country song popular out here in Texas, and it goes something like, "What's going on in your world? It sure is lonesome in mine." You know what I mean? While our world is great. I mean, Canelo's back. Teofimo Lopez is dominating lightweight. I mean, I think everything's good over here. I mean, let me tell you something. Saul Canelo Alvarez is going to be facing yet another great opponent. Okay. Calum Smith is one of the top fighters in his division. And yet we're going to see a concerted effort to downplay this opponent. Okay. I kept hearing over and over again, all right, that he doesn't fight anybody or anything like this. But here we are again, yet another top opposition fighter. You have to praise this fight if you are objective. If you need to clout chase Canelo and be negative against Canelo as your audience, and obviously you're going to say that it's a terrible opponent, but that's not here nor there. I like the fight, but I want to say this. I wanted to see the Plant fight more, if I'm honest, but I find it funny that Cano Plant, but that's not his name, is it? Caleb Plant, all right? Caleb Plant tweets out after this fight's announced and shit, right? Once it comes out that he had nothing to say, he was being cryptic, okay, before the fight, but then all of a sudden, Calum Smith looks like it's going to go. It's a go. What happens? What exactly happens? This dude tweets out a picture of a wolf, like eating some prey. Like all of a sudden, you're a wolf. Ahora eres un pinche lobo, güey. Like all of a sudden, you're a wolf. All of a sudden, like you're hungry. You're a predator all of a sudden. Well, the apex predator of that division is Canelo. He's the apex predator of boxing, pound for pound anyway. Okay? All of a sudden, you're a predator. All of a sudden. Why weren't you a wolf the first time they offered you the fight? Now, why weren't you a wolf this time? All right? Playing Duck Canelo, and until I see evidence otherwise, that's where it stands, and it looks like he did it twice now. Okay? What's the excuse now? You needed more time. He literally tweeted, "I'm ready to go. I'm the wolf." Okay, with blood and everything. I mean, with the blood and the guts of the prey out and everything. All of a sudden, you're a wolf. Okay, I guess. All right? But you're not part of the wolf pack, because this is the wolf pack right here. Right? That's all I got to say for
That's right,
that.
baby. That's right. ATP Wolfpack represent right here, man. And you know what? Yeah, we got to call Plan out, man. He talks a big game, when it looks like he's out the picture, and even last night he released a video. I believe it was from Instagram. I'm not sure. I'm not on Instagram, so I don't know, but it looked like it might have been from one of those Instagram videos. and he's in his hot tub, he's in there flexing, talking about he's ready and all this other shit, and then, like you said, he posts a picture of the wolf eating, it's like, but bro, you're already out of the sweepstakes, bro. You already lost, like it's, you're not getting the fight now. So all of a sudden you want to talk big, but I wouldn't mind seeing that fight, springtime,
All of a sudden, I'm a low. Like you ain't shit, bro. Go sit your ass down. Okay, you're a fox or some shit. You know what I mean? Something like that. I don't know if you're a wolf.
Chicano, what do you think of Calum Smith, man? I mean Caleb Plant. Showing off in his hot tub one night and the next night tweeting things out. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, man?
Well, I do think he's doing some things right. I mean, historically, the cash cow is the one that you want to fight. And so I think he's doing a good thing by going out there and being public. He should be begging for the fight. I want to see him beg, just like the rest of them should be begging for the fight. It's like I said, it's the biggest legacy fight as well as the biggest high-profile fight. And those aren't the same thing, right? They're two different things. It's also the biggest money fight he can get. Everybody should be trying to fight Canelo. He seems to be the only one to be able to go in any of these divisions and actually do something meaningful. All of these undefeated champions at 168 who haven't really done anything yet have all been put on notice. Canelo's going to start cleaning up the division, or he's going to continue to do what he wants. But as far as Caleb Plant, I'm confusing them. As far as Caleb Plant goes, the hot tub thing, I mean, it's cool, but too little, too late, like you guys said, man. Like I said, the begging was good, but other than that, man, he just needs to sit his ass down, maybe fight somebody that's relevant while Canelo starts taking care of business at 168.
Well said. Well said. We got some more people here. We got Eli. We got Andrew Charles, D. Hodges. What's going on, guys? I see you guys. We're cooking here on Canelo announcing his fight with Calum Smith at 168. They'll be unifying the WBA titles. Good fight, man. I like it. But Nopal, what do you think, man? Your boy Plant out there, is he selling wolf tickets again or what, bro? Like, what's up, man?
That's exactly what I was going to say. The boy had a wolf up, and he's getting ready to sell wolf tickets. But, something interesting about this is we're starting to see that on the PB side of things. These guys got a well-oiled machine working over here. It's like they always got an excuse, and I bet you it's like Daddy Al calls them up, hey, Caleb Plant, we got an interview lined up for you. That way you can explain yourself, and I want you to say this and that and this and this because they're on to us, and but best believe they're gonna have some kind of explanation for what I mean, not wanting to accept this fight and whatever. But the good thing is we're on to them, and that's how it's gonna be with all these other opponents that want to pull out of fights, and that the thing I'm happy about is we're not no longer are we rushing to blame Canelo for, I bet it was a secret clause, something like, come on, man, get the hell out of here with that. We're tired of hearing these excuses. We're blaming the other guy because we know the other guy hasn't fought anybody even close to that level. So that's all I got to say about that.
Hey, really quick. Well said, Paul. Ironic, right? Very ironic that, and pun intended, that the guy tweeting about being a wolf is selling wolf tickets. Okay,
selling tickets, man.
And I can tell you right now, all right, because now you see there's a new age now in things, because let me tell you something. Wolves, when they're separated and they're scattered all over the place, they're so predators, they're so strong, but when they're together in a pack, let me tell you something. You're gonna start hearing this song every time you think about HCP. Okay. I'm just saying, all right? That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's all I got to say.
That's right. Wolfpack is back causing mass destruction. We got a few more people here. Fistiana is here. Thanks for being here. We have a question. Now, this is a good question. I don't think that we have these details out yet. But it's a good question. Will it be on pay-per-view or will it be on DAZN? We don't know yet. Either way, I'm watching the thing. I get all the fights, man. I get them all. So, to me, it doesn't matter. I don't think it really matters to any of these guys here on the panel. If you don't want to pay for it on pay-per-view, then, we know ways to see it. Okay? We know. We know what we're doing. All right.
Hey,
I
Chief
just want
Funky.
to say that I don't know if the Canelo cartel endorses, illegally doing streams of Canelo. I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
Well, I think the good news is that you might not have to. There's a tweet from Mike Coppinger an hour ago, and he says that the talks for this fight happening, it's bound to go down on DAZN. So, I mean, we can all look forward to, not having to pay a pay-per-view premium in December.
Well, I mean, either way, I guess I still kept my DAZN. I know a lot of people canceled their DAZN when all this stuff happened. When Canelo was in legal battles with DAZN and Golden Boy, but I kept it because I'm a hardcore man. I'm a junkie, bro. Like I need my fix. So I know they were down for a little bit, but fights started to pick up. You know what I'm saying? But real quickly before we let Santiago burn because he's on a time constraint. I want to get your guys' thoughts. Now, this is according to Salvador Rodriguez. He says the Luke Campbell-Ryan Garcia lightweight eliminator fight that was postponed when Campbell tested positive for COVID-19 could be rescheduled as part of the Canelo Smith undercard, man. What do you guys think of that?
I think that makes it a hot fight, man, like a hot little card for everybody to enjoy. We were all looking forward to that fight in general, for that kind of like wet our whistle before the main event comes on. It can only benefit us all. And the Texans, man, they're lucky. That's going to be a great card for everybody to show up to. It's two generations of fans. Like Canelo has like the hardcore Mexican fans. I do think that Ryan Garcia is growing in popularity, and he's going to bring the young little Latinas out there with the hoop earrings. Yeah, nice little down there. Now that I'm thinking about it, I need to go over. Convince the old lady. But I'll tell you this. No, I'm just kidding. But I'll tell you this. Like, I think it's going to be a great little card, man. I can't tell you how nice it is that we're going to see this fight in a matter of weeks, potentially.
Yeah, man. And you're right. There's going to be a lot of little chiquitas out there, man, if Ryan Garcia is on the card,
Don't guys saw what he did in Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day in Anaheim, he blew it up.
Oh, I know, man. They were everywhere.
They were everywhere.
No, Paul, what do you think, man? Garcia Campbell undercard, man.
Man, I love it. I actually canceled my zone contract, and you best believe I sent them a very strongly worded email, telling them, explaining my frustration with the whole situation. But you gotta let bygones be bygones. It's not like I'm gonna get on their monthly plan again or try to pay for the year off. But with this situation, Ryan Garcia, man, you best believe I'm gonna pay the $20 fee. That way I can watch the fight, And with all this COVID and all that, I look forward to the fight parties, but we'll see how that goes. I would still kind of try to invite some family members and all that. I got a big family over here in Stockton, so a lot of them, we kind of miss each other. We haven't been able to visit each other, but I might take the little risk and invite whoever wants to come over, but I'm very excited.
Yeah, just be careful, man. It's in our region, it's getting really bad around here. Cases have increased pretty big here in Northern California. So, I'm being real vigilant in what I do, man. And if I gotta watch this one solo, I'm gonna watch it solo. But this is one of those fight cards where, man, you would love to have some familia, but unfortunately, we're not in the right time for that. But so, Dale, any thoughts, man, on Campbell Garcia undercard, man?
No, I think Chicano Prophet and Nopal hit it on the button. Texas is a good place for it, and we'll see who Ryan brings out the Chiquitas.
They're gonna be there for sure, man. We got seen and unseen boxing here, man. What's going on? Thanks for being here. D Style, did I ask you? I'm sorry, man. I get old, man. I'm doing double duty. Like I told you, my parental duties here at the same time I'm hosting the show. Like, did you give your thoughts on Ryan Garcia on the undercard?
Fight's okay. No, let me say this, man. Obviously, I love the fight, but hey, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? If they want to do that fight on the undercard, Ryan gets to say he's on a co-main event and all that, so he'll be happy about that. And it's also a good way to promote Ryan in his future. Now I don't know. Ryan's still with Golden Boy though, so I don't know how likely that is to happen. But I guess if Golden Boy gets money from the zone to do it, then they'll get it. But we'll see how that goes. But I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Look, we're used to getting trash, okay, for freaking undercard fights. So it's good. It's good in my book.
Yep, I'm right there with
Although
you, man.
I heard, though, I did hear that Linares wants that fight now. So hey,
Yeah, and that's a good fight too. I was actually looking forward to that. That fight was originally scheduled for July of this year, after Garcia sparked out Fonseca in one round. That fight was already set up and ready to go. Didn't go through for whatever reason, but I still think it's a good fight. I would love to see that if they were looking to replace if they were looking to replace Campbell, but it looks like they're just postponing it because they want that fight done, and I think it's a good fight too. Actually, I think Campbell might even be a better fight for Ryan Garcia. So now let's going to go into the next topic here. Santiago Media is here, and we got some big news about. We got some good news, big news for one of the best prospects in boxing, Vergil Ortiz. He signed a deal with MTK, and G-Funk is the type of fight fan. I don't really get involved in the business side of boxing. It's just never been an interest of mine. But unfortunately, there's times where we have to talk about these things, and what they mean to the sport and what they mean to certain fighters.
wait.
So,
He signed with Mortal Kombat, like Mortal Kombat. Did I have that wrong? Am I wrong about that?
I didn't even think about it. That's hilarious. But Santiago Media has got some interesting thoughts on what this means for the young gun at 147, looking to make a name for himself coming up here real soon. So, Santiago, the floor is yours, bro. Burn it up.
Well, yesterday, via social media, we found out that Vergil Ortiz has a new manager in Rick Merigian. Rick Merigian is a manager who has had Jose Ramirez for his entire professional career, pretty much since 2012, and has made Jose Ramirez a club show fighter into a arena sellout fighter. So he's been able to move him very well in the Central Valley, and he's been able to get him in fights in Las Vegas through his promoter Top Rank, and also had a fight when he had that huge fight against Maurice Hooker in Texas. So he's done an excellent job with Jose Ramirez, and then he also got known for his work with Gabe Flores, and Gabe Flores signed with him in 2016, and he did some unprecedented numbers there in Stockton, where they did, I think, something close to 10,000 seats sold there in Stockton for Gabe Flores as a main event. So that's a little bit of history on who Rick Merigian is, and he is Vergil's new manager, along with an advisor, MTK. Let me backtrack a little bit and talk about when Jose Ramirez was introduced to Robert Garcia's RGBA. Originally, Jose Ramirez used to train with Freddie Roach at the Wildcard Gym, and he made a transition in 2018 to move to Robert in Riverside. So Robert in the last 5 years has been signing on fighters not only as their trainer, but he's been co-managing them with their fathers. For example, Joshua Franco. Joshua Franco is co-managed by Robert Garcia and his dad, Jesse Rodriguez. Hector Tanajada is another example. Hector's dad and Robert manage him. So Robert still fulfills the training side for the fighters, but along with the fathers, he co-manages them. So in 2018, Rick Merigian comes over and he gets introduced to the team RGBA, and I guess what I'm getting at is, I think, and like Chief Funky said, Sometimes we don't really like to talk the business side of boxing. You know, I don't really like my public information out there. I don't like people talking about, you know, what salary I make or what amount of taxes I pay per year and stuff like that. But this is boxing, so they're kind of in the public eye, so it's kind of a little bit different. But just by studying the landscape and knowing that Ryan Garcia's numbers are out there and he likes to go public and put some information that sometimes isn't meant to be out in the public. We found out recently that Ryan Garcia's minimum in his new contract was $200,000. So I'm just connecting dots. I'm all over the place on it, but I'm connecting dots, and I'm assuming I have no insider information. I don't have any. I have not seen any contracts, but I'm assuming that Vergil Ortiz's minimum is the same as Ryan's, or close to it. Whether it's $250,000 or $200,000, it's right around there. But these guys are on the cusp of becoming world champions. So in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, don't shoot me for saying this, but I think these guys can earn up to $1 million a fight now. Whether it's a championship fight or whether it's not, I think both of them are on the cusp of breaking out and being superstars. Some people say one more than the other. I'm not going to argue either way. But so in my eyes, Vergil Sr. and Robert, who co-manage Vergil Jr., have reached a point where they need to maximize Vergil Jr.'s purses. So they've done the best that they can, but bringing in somebody like Rick Meridian, who has all the experience in getting Jose Ramirez the top dollar in all his fights, he's going to be the one to be the middleman between Vergil Jr. and Golden Boy Promotions. So instead of Golden Boy Promotions earning more from those events, they're going to be more like, quote unquote, Al Heyman, where the fighter gets a lion's share of the revenue. So that's me. I know I'm all over the place on it, but I'm connecting dots just from things that I see on Twitter, that I see on YouTube, interviews that people give. That's where I think Rick Meridian is being brought in. Rick Meridian has been with Jose for the last 8 years, and he was with Gabe Flores for 4, and he's not with Gabe Flores anymore. Well, he's pretty much had 2 fighters. I know he does a lot of other stuff that doesn't get publicized, but he's pretty much had 2 pro fighters in the last 10 years. Well, all of a sudden he's got 10. He's got in the last 2 months he signed Hector Tanajara, who's 19-0, who's from San Antonio, Texas. He's signed Joshua Franco, 17-1-2, also from San Antonio, Texas. Jonathan Navarro from East LA, undefeated, 17-0. He's a 140-pounder. Ruben Villa, who we just saw 2 weeks ago fight for a title. He signed a local guy from Bakersfield. He goes by Caveman. I believe his name is Miguel Contreras, something like 11-0. And then he just signed 2 of Richard Schaefer's Olympians from 2016, who are trained by Robert, but are now with Rick. So they obviously Richard Schaefer, it sounds like he went under. So Rick Meridian now is the manager for 11-0 Lindolfo Delgado and 10-0 Misael Rodriguez. Misael Rodriguez is from Chihuahua. Lindolfo Delgado is, I believe, from Nuevo León, from Tamaulipas, I think. So I'm just connecting the dots and just giving my opinion of why I think this move was made. It'd be interesting to see what Robert has to say on the situation. We haven't heard. He usually goes live on Sundays and see why. But this isn't nothing new, in my opinion. If you study the way Robert moves, he's spread out. For the first 10 years of his career, Robert has been primarily a top-ranked gym, and in the last 5 years, he's signed fighters with Golden Boy. He's signed fighters with Richard Schaefer's Ringstar Sports. He signed Little Bam Rodriguez with Tekken Promotions. He has fighters with Matchroom. He has Espino, a prospect from Las Vegas, who's 7-0. with Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing, so he's spread out, and I think this is just another way of getting Vergil to maximize his dollar. But also, if you study, and you guys can help me, anybody can jump on this, but if you study the welterweight division, you got Terrence Crawford on Top Rank on ESPN, and then you got all the big dogs. You got all the big dogs on the other side: Errol Spence, Sean Porter, and Danny Garcia, all on the Showtime Fox side with Al Heyman. So if anybody wants to jump in on that, I think bringing in MTK is steering him to get to the Terrence Crawford, and then eventually, if his contract originally he signed his first contract with Golden Boy in 2016, but then they re-upped it 2 or 3 years into it, so he's got another 2 or 3 years. Let's say he re-upped in 2018, so his contract is going to expire in 2023. So he's got another 3 years with Golden Boy, unless he can buy it out. But up until 2023, he has to shake up the welterweight division. Plus, if he's in 2023, if he's not still at welterweight, and any of you guys can, I'll let anybody jump in on right after I make this statement. But if he gets Terrence Crawford, he seems to be the smaller of the welterweights. And then hopefully by then, not only will Vergil be at 154, but so will Errol Spence and so will Sean Porter. That's pretty much a generalization of what of me putting all the dots together of what recently happened. I know we don't like to talk the business side of it, but sometimes it's stuff that's out in the public. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. You guys all know this is not my specialty to talk the business side and all these sort of things. But I mean, I think you did a good job breaking it down and coming to a pretty reasonable conclusion, as to what happened. And I do agree, Terrence Crawford is the guy, the WBO champion, who is naturally the smallest of the champion. I guess Pacquiao, but I mean, I don't even know what he's going to do nowadays, if he's even going to fight anymore. But yeah, I do think that Crawford is the target eventually for a Vergil Ortiz. We got a few more people here. We got A-Rod, Black and Brown, and Lawrence Williams, man. Thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate it. If you haven't hit the like button, make sure you do so, because this is HCP Uncensored. This is the home of the truth, the home of real boxing talk. What do you guys think, man, about Sonteo's theory here? What do you guys think?
I think it's spot on, and if you really think about it, it's nobody's fault, really. If you look at Crawford's age, he's what's he, like 33 already? And by the time, around that time, right when his Vergil's contract ending 3 years later, I mean, he's not gonna be pretty old already. But I think, you know what, if you look at it, he'll probably be well preserved, because he's not taking no damage or nothing. He's gonna probably be another Triple G, just knocking out bums up until the age of 37. So it'll still be a very competitive fight. You know what I mean? So at the same time, it's not like, we can't really say. I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I mean, you wouldn't really be able to say, oh, he's cherry picking Terrence Crawford, because I mean, a lot of these fighters are built for longevity. You know what I mean? Like Floyd, Pacquiao, even Triple G. I mean, he was still knocking fools out to this day. And he's 37, 38. So I think so that was spot on. And I'm one of the ones that really like the business side of boxing, because a lot of the times when you look at two guys offering each other a certain amount of money, I mean, you got to look at it, because a lot of people like to rush to judgment and say, nah, this guy lowball, this guy. Wait a minute. How's that a lowball? The dude's offering you 10 times what you've made it in your whole career, 10 times your regular purse. How's it a lowball,
Yeah, we hear you, man. And a nice hot take there from No Paul about Terrence Crawford. Seen and Unseen says, thoughts on Boots Ennis. He says, I believe that dude might shake shit up. And then he says, like Etch a sketch. I like that one. Yeah, man. We're all high on him, just like everybody else, man. It's just a matter of time before we see him in there with somebody, and then we really see, what's what. And the same goes for Vergil. We all like what we see from him, and until they get in there with somebody that's really going to test them, then we'll know what's what. But both young fighters look really, really good. D-Style, you got any thoughts on what Sonteo had to say? Maybe D-Style's drinking a cold one. I'll pass it to Chicano then. Chicano, what do you think, man?
Man, that was good stuff, Something. Like, yeah, I'm glad you put all the pieces together for us. And, I know Nopal knows a lot more about the business than I do, but the prospect of what this all could lead to is very exciting. And it is kind of interesting to hear about what might be going on behind the scenes and, who collects fighters and for what, and how things could play out in the future, because there's got to be an ultimate game plan for a lot of these people. And I know it doesn't always work out that way because you got to also win in the ring, but it's interesting to see players start moving and kind of follow those movements and to see what great fights it could lead to in the future.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me say something really quick. I need to say this, okay? While we haven't seen Vergil tested at the very highest level, he has been tested, okay? So, like, for example, Mauricio Herrera, who many believe, got robbed in the fight with Garcia, Danny Garcia, that is, he destroyed him. Okay,
yes.
Like he utterly dismantled him,
annihilated him.
He unmanned him in front of the world. You just don't do that to Mauricio Herrera. You know what I mean? Orozco went life and death with a unified 140-pound champion in Ramirez, and Vergil literally just annihilated him too. So he has been there with far better opposition at this point than Boots Ennis. I'm not diminishing Boots Ennis's abilities. He's passing the eye test, but I haven't seen him fight that level of opposition just yet. But I'll give him credit. He's calling out everybody. He wants to fight the top dog, so you do got to give him credit for that. But as of right now, Vergil's fought the better opposition of the two.
Yeah, that's a good point. You don't, the maestro Herrera. You don't do that to him, man. You could beat him, but to stop him the way that he did was pretty as well. Who went toe to toe with Ramirez down at 140. D Hodges here says Bud's last four were good opponents. Lopez, Horn, Khan made him quit. Mean Machine, Olympian gold medalist. Mean Machine, y'all need to stop it. Hey, I like Bud, man. I've been on record saying that I really like Bud. He's one of the guys that unified. Not unified, but went undisputed at 140. I really like that. So I'm a big Bud guy, but not everybody else agrees. But I understand where Nopal comes from.
I'm high on Bud, and if yesterday's HCP doesn't prove that, I don't know what will.
Yeah, we're very high on Bud here. We like Bud, and matter of fact, I'll go on record and say this right now, without breaking it down. And that video will come once the fight gets made, if it gets made. But I've always said that I think Terrence Crawford beats Errol Spence. That's just my opinion, and that's just the way that I see it. And I would love to break that fight down and make a video, but unfortunately, we don't know if that fight will ever take place. But Sonteo, I want to say, man, thank you so much for that information. It was very educational for someone like myself. Like I said, that doesn't follow the business side of boxing. I know you got some things on your plate right now. You can bounce if you want, or if you want to stay on, it's up to you, man. You make the call. You're always welcome here. And, we'll move on to the next topic, man. But I want to say thanks for that. I got my boy, Mr. Pound for Pound is here. And he says he's high on Bud too, literally. Aye. Put it down, bro. All right. Just put it out just for a little bit, just for me. All right. But we're gonna move on to the next topic here that I think is very interesting.
Jr., right? Oh, no.
We'll talk about him after, because there was something interesting that happened here, and an interesting video that I came across today. Now, you guys see what I have here in the title. Did Lomachenko really duck Haney? Now, I know that that's been something that's been said for quite some time here in the YouTube world that Lomachenko ducked and that he didn't want no smoke with
Haney.
with Devin Haney. I'm sorry, with Devin Haney. But we had an interview here on let me see, True School Sports. He dropped a video where he interviewed a one Rick Glazer. Now I'm gonna put the link to that video in the chat right now so you guys can watch it, but I'm gonna play some audio from it right now so you guys can hear what Glazer had to say about this situation with Haney and Lomachenko. So give me one second.
Okay, you guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to play the audio here. And again, the link is there so you guys can watch the video, but I'm just going to go ahead and play it for you guys.
Devin Haney situation. Do you believe that Devin Haney is the real world champion? Or do you believe that, like, Teofimo is the undisputed champion? Because that's like a big topic of discussion right now.
Well, to me, the franchise belt supersedes the regular belt because it was franchised for a reason because he was so good, and he had two of the other belts, you know. So I would say that would be, you know, I would say Teofimo is the real champ, and I would call Haney the regular champ.
Yeah, that's like the WBC's version of what the WBA does.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the super champion and the secondary, you know, the regular champ. He's a regular champ. You know what I mean? Listen, that doesn't take away from Devin Haney. Okay, his father just wouldn't let him fight Teofimo. You know what I'm saying? So, wouldn't let him fight Loma. I'm sorry. Wouldn't let him fight Loma. That's all.
Yeah. Why do you keep saying that? Because, like, when I called you the other day, you said the same thing. Like, that,
because I know the real story behind the thing. It wasn't Loma's idea. It wasn't Top Rank's idea. It was somebody that works with somebody else in boxing came to Bill Haney with the idea, and they went to Mauricio, and this guy went to Top Rank, and you know, that's what they did. And Aram said, "This is great. We don't have to deal with him. We can go right to a TFP fight." Because you remember something, if he would have dealt with Haney, it could have been the purse bid, and Haney could have won the purse bid and taken it to the zone. Then nobody would have saw it. You understand what I'm saying? Then nobody would have saw it, and Aaron wouldn't be able to put it on ESPN and get all those people to watch. And then, so it was a lose for him. So he loved it. So it worked out great for everybody involved. There's no loser there.
Yeah.
What's somebody saying?
He said, "We heard that Loma ducked."
No, it's not true at all. Stop, please.
Wow, really?
There's been a very
why would he duck Haney, who's not a puncher, and go to Teofimo? Hello?
That's what I was saying.
I like the note that he hit at the end there.
Damn.
I got a lot I got to say about this. You guys go first.
Man, me too. Let me go after D-Style. Go ahead, D-Style.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. Burn.
Well, I mean, I don't even know you guys are going to like my answer, so that's why
Okay,
I'm
Your answer's your answer, bro. This is uncensored.
Check this out. Check this out, okay? First of all, just because Richard Glacier says something, it doesn't make it gospel. That's number one. I need more concrete information, evidence in this. And let me tell you why, okay? To answer his last question, it's really simple, okay? Because the second option is an in-house fight. So Top Rank wins regardless. That's number one. Second, you don't need the WBC belt to make a unification fight with Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko. You just don't need that fight. You could still make the fight on ESPN. It's still a big fight, regardless. You know? Yeah. So you don't have to create a franchise belt either. You could just have Haney win an interim, and you can have, you know, Teofimo fight Lomachenko anyway. There's a lot of holes I could poke through this, but I'm not here to say that. Like, I'm going to stick to the same thing I've been saying. Teofimo Lopez, okay, he doesn't inherit what was done in that process at all, okay? And I still feel like he's not obligated to fight Devin Haney, but I do feel like there's a lot of, like, either you're hot or cold with the whole topic, and there's just too many nuances to it, okay? Now, I'm not saying what Richard Glacier's saying is not true, but I just need a little more information here. Like this idea that they did a deal, like, okay, we won't fight each other, and then you'll become the regular, you'll become the franchise. Well, it's just going different to what the other side is going to say in terms of, by that I mean Devin Haney's dad. So I just need to hear a little more, I think. And I need more concrete information, and I know some people that could get a hold of Aaron, maybe ask him some questions, but even then, we still got to go further from there. You know what I mean? So that's all I got to say about it.
Hold on, let me answer a question. Seen and unseen. I see your comments right here, bro. I don't think you got timed out. We don't time people out here, bro. I mean, you could say what you want as long as it's not out of pocket and it's not racist or personal attacks on anybody here.
No, I see your comment. I see it there.
Yeah, your comments are good, bro. I just put them on the screen too. So, yeah, and maybe just a one-off thing on your side, but we see you, man. We see you.
I think he meant there was no comments for a while.
Maybe. Okay.
I see no new comments. You know what I mean? That's all he's saying.
Nopales. I know you said you had some things to say, so let's hear it, bro.
Yeah, I think, given the circumstances, what Rick said, it makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, I mean, the dude's in the business, so it sounds to me like he's kind of making up a little bit of his own truth right there. He's putting together some pieces on his own, but the part that did make sense is, Loma definitely didn't want to be in a situation where they would first bid him and potentially Haney promoter would win the first bid. That's the only part that really makes sense. But the rest of it really doesn't sound right. I think the most logical thing was that the reason why I'm not really buying it is because prior to all this, you could hear Aram defending Canelo's franchise position, and he's very expressive about it. He would say, "Why should a guy like Canelo have to be forced to, fight this guy when he, and that was right around the IBF situation where Canelo lost the IBF belt to Derevyanchenko, and it was a situation where Derevyanchenko had already lost versus Denjek. And, why should he be given another opportunity to take Canelo, who just beat the real champ? You know what I mean? Why should he right away be given the opportunity to fight the other champ, which was Canelo? I mean, it didn't make any sense. So, Aram was being very expressive about, Canelo, hey, he's the best. Why should he, and he's put in a lot of work. And why should he be in this situation where, he's forced to fight this guy who doesn't deserve anything? You know what I mean? Granted, the guy deserves a fight, but he doesn't deserve a fight of that magnitude, because you work your way up to these fights. You know what I mean? Steadily putting in work. So basically, what I'm saying is, that's the part where, like I said, Aram was expressing himself that he didn't feel like a fighter in Canelo, or, in this case, he was kind of saying that because he knew that either Fury or Lomachenko would be in the same situation in the future. So let me act like I'm backing up Canelo right now, because I'm going to be in the same situation. And by that time, people will understand what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So, I don't really believe that what Rick said is true, because in the end, it basically benefited everybody. Haney got a free belt, didn't fight nobody to win it. Basically got elevated. Lomachenko was put in a position where, hey, I'm gonna fight whoever I want. You know what I mean? I earned that right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it was made sense to me.
I mean, I guess if you want to believe that, then it's going to make sense to you. I'm just evidence-based. I need more information from Rick Glazier, and I need more facts. That's what I need.
Yeah, it's something that I've mentioned this before on a live I did where I played some audio from the matchmaker at Golden Boy where he said, even people that are inside the business don't know how these fights are made or what's in contracts and whatnot, And like I said, this is not my specialty, but it definitely adds a twist to the narrative that's been out there that Lomachenko ducked Devin Haney. Chicano Prophet, any thoughts on this, man?
A little. I wanted to hate, but you guys are speaking so objectively. I wanted to just tear into Devin Haney on Uncensored here, but damn it, you guys make good points.
The prophet does what he wants.
all I can say is that it wouldn't surprise me if there were some shades of truth, and I also wouldn't be surprised if Haney did take a little bit of advantage and kind of talking a little bit too much, and Loma, who doesn't really speak English, who might not care enough to speak on it, and is kind of a statesman of boxing. I mean, there's a chance that he just might have not cared enough to kind of give his side of the story, to kind of give us more clarification. And we know a lot about David Haney because of what's going on here on YouTube, but otherwise, I mean, there wouldn't be that much coverage about the whole situation in general. So I do think there is some shades of truth to it, possibly, but maybe not. That'd be okay either way. But I do think that it is interesting that the same circumstances about a guy who doesn't really speak English, might not care enough to even speak on it, and is a statesman. This does mirror the Canelo Charlo situation, in my opinion. So that's the one thing I wanted to point out. But I mean, this is interesting information.
It definitely adds a twist to what we've been hearing.
Really quick. I'm not saying okay, I'm not going to believe it. All I'm saying is this is literally just him giving his opinion on it, and his only evidence is why would he duck Haney but fight Theo when I basically broke that. I answered that right away because Top Rank wins. It's in a win-win in a Theo versus Lomachenko fight. That's why. Because even if Teofimo Lopez beats Lomachenko, that's still a top-ranked fighter. That's why. I mean, I just think the final statement he made showed me that it's just his speculation. That's just my opinion on that. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean what he's saying isn't true. It just means that I don't have enough evidence to believe what he's saying.
No, that's a good point. Go ahead, Opal, go ahead.
Let me just say one thing. Regardless of what we think, at the end of the day, both of these guys signed on the dotted line. But what we do know is one champ actually put in some work. The other guy didn't do absolutely anything. And they weren't forced to sign on the dotted line, so they both accepted their fate regardless of what we say. So, you know what I mean? If Haney was a real badass, he could have been like, nah, forget it. I'll stay silver champ and, I'll wait my turn till I fight to beat another guy, and then you guys, you know what I mean? Like other fighters, maybe like Triple G, who, waited a little bit, and finally the WBC, I mean, they really pressured Canelo to fight. They pressured him in a way where he actually, you know what I mean? He was in the same situation, and he was getting sued, not to mention, so got vacate or whatever. But you guys get where I'm going with this. Nevertheless, the WBC is, if you put the fire to them, they're willing to pressure the other guy. You know what I mean? To fight, regardless of promotional sides or whatever. If you put in the work to make it happen, they'll do it. They'll do it. So Haney could have waited and not took the free belt, but he decided to sign on the dotted line, and everybody ended up happy at the end of the day. One guy gets a free belt without doing absolutely anything. The other guy keeps his career going and, fought the guys he knew deserved it. In this case, Teofimo.
Yeah, I mean, my stance is pretty much the same on Haney's belt. He was handed the belt, and I think especially since what we saw from him against Gamboa, I think he needs a little more work before he's ready for some of these guys at the top. He was. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Look. He didn't get it handed any more than Canelo got his handed. When he beat Haddon's brother for the title. You know what I mean? Was not even a welterweight at the time, or I'm sorry, a 154 pounder. It was actually a welterweight. I believe a junior welterweight. So, I get the whole, concept, in terms of the way Haney got the belt. But I still stand firm. My stance on the Teofimo Lopez situation has not changed whatsoever. However, what I'm not going to do is just be 100% against anything regarding Haney, no matter what. It's not something I'm going to do. He needs to provide me with proof. I need proof that the Haney camp wanted this, that they requested that they get a regular belt, and they're perfectly okay with who he was supposed to fight for the title getting a franchise belt. That is something that requires evidence, and not just speculation from Glacier. That's yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and I criticized. Again, this is why ATP is the home of real boxing talk, because we stay consistent and we got receipts, man. I got videos where I spoke about Canelo fighting, Hatton at moving him up and basically be handed a belt, and so this is not just us picking on Haney, like we speak out on BS when there's BS, no matter who's involved, Sonteo, do you have any thoughts before I give my final thoughts on this?
The only thing that I'd like to touch on is you said a comment from the matchmaker from Golden Boy, Roberto Diaz, where sometimes not everybody knows what's going on. And that is very evident through Mikey Garcia's case. When he went through that lawsuit against Top Rank, it came out that not all of the information from Top Rank was getting to Mikey through Cameron Duncan, and not everything Mikey wanted to get back in response to Top Rank was getting back to Top Rank the way he wanted it as well. So sometimes the managers in the middle, which one, want to be goody-goody with the promoter, and two, be goody-goody with your client, which is your fighter, because that's who pays your salary, you get stuck in the middle and you're trying to make everybody happy. But Roberto Diaz is telling you the truth. He's like, you could be, and now we're supposed to believe Rick Glaser. I mean, that's what I'd like to bring to light, is that there's so many hands in the pot and so many different positions that a manager is going to try to keep his job. He's going to try to keep everybody happy. So that's something that when you made that comment, G Funky, about Roberto Diaz, that automatically came to mind. And it also ties into what D-Style's saying. He says, I want a little bit more. Well, I don't know if Rick Glaser,
Yeah.
I don't know if Rick Glaser will ever be in a position to give you the truth exactly, and especially since he's saying I heard it from so and so. That's my piece.
Well
Rick
said.
Glaser's speculating just like the rest of us. That's all he's doing.
Yeah, well said there, Sonteo, and that's the reason why I made that video. And that video is still up, where you can hear the audio, and the video is still on Leave It in the Ring here on YouTube. You guys can watch that. Here's the thing, man. I know as fans we do speculating a lot as well. We'll never know what really happened in that situation. Like I said, it does add a twist, because we've had so many people saying one thing, and then we hear somebody else who is, I guess you could say, quote unquote, an insider, say something different. So it does throw us a curveball in the whole situation. I mean, at the end of the day, I think they should just fight. And I'm just going to say this. This is boxing, guys. These guys understand what they're doing. This is their job. They know their job is to go in there and punch each other, whether it be in the face, in the body, or, so they understand the risk. And I don't believe any of these guys are afraid to fight anybody. I just don't think that. Do promoters try to protect fighters the best they can? I mean, absolutely. We've seen that before. I mean, Don King did a great job of doing that with his fighters back in the day. So, I mean, that situation is something different. It's not the fighters like, man, I'm scared of this guy. I think he's going to beat me up. I don't believe that that's what happens in the sport of boxing. And I don't think that Lomachenko is afraid to fight Devin Haney. I just don't think that. And this is before I thought this before he fought Gamboa. I'm not just saying that now based off the Gamboa performance, but before, I mean, I still think Lomachenko's a tough fight for anybody at 135. And I'm just not in favor of people saying that he's overrated or anything like that. Is he overrated as far as what they ranked him, like with guys like Ali and the great lightweights like Duran and Chavez and Shane Mosley? Like, yes, of course. But present day, he was the best guy. you know, and we got to stop with these narratives, man. It's really bothering me. And as far as the contract goes, we'll never know if there was or what was said, and we don't know what goes into these contracts. None of us know. We don't even know, like again, people running around saying that Teofimo is ducking Haney now, when there's, again, no evidence of that at all. Zero evidence of that. So we really have to just stop and and stop with the BS and things like that. We don't know how fights get made, and we never will. And anybody else got any final thoughts before we
Yes,
move on?
I do got to say a couple of things. So, first, in terms of, if we're gonna say we don't know, then there's no need to even talk about it. Like we could have like speculation on what we believe happened. I'm not gonna say that Lomachenko is shaking in his boots and scared of fighting Devin Haney. I don't think fighters have that type of fear. Okay, very rarely anyway. So I agree with that 100%. Also, I concur. I don't think there's any evidence at all that suggests that Teofimo Lopez is running and hiding from Devin Haney, and I don't even think he's required to fight him next. There's a lot of great fighters he could fight, and he has a much better resume than Haney. I get that 100%. However, Devin Haney was the mandatory. All right. So what Glacier is suggesting is that the Devin Haney side, all right, was scared to fight Loma, and so they were totally okay with the whole thing taking place so they can get an easy belt. We cannot on one hand say, "Now, I don't think Lomachenko, didn't want the belt. I don't know why would he be scared of Haney," but at the same time, kind of insinuate that Haney is the one, or his side anyway, were the ones totally okay with the whole thing, and perhaps not wanting to fight Loma and would rather get the belt the easy way. There's no evidence of that, and we're gonna say we don't know. Then I need to go with the most likely scenario. It's not that he's scared of fighting Devin Haney. They may see him as a nuisance and an inconvenience, and maybe too big of a risk for too little of a reward. That is possible, and I do believe that that's probably they weighed their options. All right, and I've been consistent about the franchise belt thing. I'm not a fan of the franchise belt, okay, because it causes this type of kind of friction with boxing fans trying to determine what exactly happened. Well, if the guy accepted the franchise belt and is no longer required to fight as mandatory, by the very definition, at the very least, you could say, even if it was temporarily, avoided the fight to go for maybe a better option financially. All right. And I do believe that's what happened. And I do believe that when you put it all together, that's what the evidence is falling. My issue is that here comes Teofimo. He defeats Lomachenko, who I agree, the best lightweight in the world, deserves 100% credit. People want to take away his victory, okay? And then they think he somehow inherits that. Well, I don't think he inherits that at all, right? But if we're not going to say that Loma's scared, let's not suggest that Haney was scared either, all right? But I'll leave it at that.
Well said. Anybody else got anything to say about this? I think we're good. So, yeah, I mean, I want to talk about what Eli said here about the word duck, and I think that's a term that gets thrown around very loosely these days, I mean, because one fighter says one thing and another fighter, doesn't respond, or the fight doesn't happen right away, then, everybody considers it a duck. Everybody considers, well, hey, he's ducking then. One guy said he wants to fight him, the other guy said this, and then the fight never happened, so he stopped it, or blah, blah, blah. And I mean, there's plenty of situations where we see this type of stuff go on here. I mean, we could do that. I mean, I could go throughout, just the last 15 years and find numerous times where one fighter has maybe even gone to another fighter's face and said, hey, let's fight. The fight doesn't happen, but, people don't consider that a duck. I think it's just people are just picking and choosing when they want to do this type of stuff, like we just had, for example, we talked about this yesterday on HCP over on D-Style Boxing's channel. Make sure you guys, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch that show we did last night. Awesome show. We talked about Chavez Jr. Now, I know I banned him from my channel, but I have to bring this up. We talked about Chavez Jr. calling out Berlanga, Edgar Berlanga, the guy who's been knocking everybody out in one round, called him out for a fight. No, I didn't hear Berlanga say, let's fight. He said, I'll put you in the cemetery. But I didn't hear him say, yeah, I definitely want to fight you. I mean, are we going to consider that a duck? I mean, this is the way you guys think, some of you guys, you know?
He ducked him.
Here's what
He
I'll
ducked
say.
him.
But can I say this? If a guy is your mandatory, right? And whatever the move is, whether you think it's justified or not, you make a certain move that makes that guy no longer your mandatory, and you do not fight him. I don't think it's out of bounds to say that you duck that guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's like out of the question. However, now granted, Haney was never Teofimo Lopez's mandatory, right? So that does not apply to Teofimo, right? I just want to make that clear. And I saw someone say the example of Canelo. The difference is, yes, Canelo accepted the franchise belt, but Canelo also offered Jermall $15 million to fight him, and he didn't take the fight. That's a completely different situation because that fight was offered. In this case, they didn't offer anything to Haney. Haney was not offered the fight. And Glacier suggesting, no, that's totally what the Haney camp asked for. They're the ones that initiated that whole move. And I got to tell you, while I understand this is my opinion, I think he's bullshitting with that one. But I do agree with the overall premise that ducking is definitely a word that's thrown around, and way too many people do not stay consistent with the ducking, right? Teofimo Lopez, he's already ducking, even though he was ducking when his opponents had opponents. You know what I mean? Tank had an opponent lined up. Haney had an opponent lined up. He's already getting called a duck. Oh, he's already ducking. He's ducking. He tweeted this. It's a duck. It's a duck. It's a duck. Duck, duck, quack. Okay? But Shakur Stevenson moved up from 126. Well, why didn't anybody say he ducked all the guys? Why didn't he unify? Why didn't he fight any of the other dudes?
Right.
Well, why didn't he fight? Why is that not a topic? Why? Because nobody created a narrative about Shakur Stevenson ducking other guys.
A tremendous point.
That's
tremendous
why.
Point. Yeah, and
we got guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but we got guys like two guys that just fought at 126 for the WBO title, Navarrete and Villa. And Villa's a guy who split 4 fights with Shakur Stevenson, and we know Navarrete is a guy who's very, very tricky, very unorthodox, and you know, anything can happen when you're in there with a guy like that. So I mean, great point. Nobody said that about Shakur, right? I mean, it's
well, because one has to create the narrative in order for it to be a thing, right? Like literally, like Teofimo Lopez has to fight Haney is a thing that was created. Okay, that pretty much. Like even before he fought Loma, he was already, he's gonna duck Haney. Just what? It already became a thing. Like if you want to make it a thing, you make it a thing. Okay, but what is not a made up thing is when a fighter's your mandatory. Okay, the problem for Loma is that whether he ran it or didn't run is irrelevant. He ran into the wrong motherfucker. Is what happened with Lomachenko. Okay, and that's all I got to say about that. You know, but yes, look. Plenty of fighters go years, right? Never unifying. They're in a position to unify, and no one ever says anything about them having to do it or they're ducking because no one creates those narratives, right? No one creates that thing, right? So that's all I got to say about that. All right. I'm talking too much.
Yeah. I mean, we could go, like I said, we could go back and look up plenty of situations. I mean, with this, with the way people call ducks these days, I mean, I'm just gonna flat out say it. Mayweather ducked Margarito when he jammed him up face to face. Ducked him. If we're going according to your guys' standards, okay? And you will see my channel. I see you. You know, okay. Look, here's the thing, man. If you're gonna say a guy ducked one guy, you know, he fought him twice, man. Canelo fought Triple G twice. I mean, I know what you're doing, but it's not going to work here, man. All right. You guys got anything else to add to this?
He ducked him. He ducked him.
No, Paul. I see you're unmuted. Go ahead, bro.
I think I got something to add. Yeah, I mean, I really don't want to get racial, but I really can't hope. I mean, I can't help but notice that for some reason, in most modern times right now, I mean, the guys that get hated on the most for ducking people are guys like Cotto, Canelo, DSG, Ryan Garcia. He's barely a prospect or a contender, and he's already getting blamed. Teofimo's already getting blamed. Like, it's a weird coincidence that these guys all have real accomplishments, yet except for Ryan Garcia. Maybe I threw him in there a little too early, but it's weird. From the start of their career, they're already getting blamed for ducking. The Cotto thing. I mean, we all knew he was kind of he was kind of already messed up a little from a lot of punishment and stuff. So it was understandable that he wanted some money before he retired. But I mean, guys like Diaz, like Dan Garcia, I mean, I really don't get it. Coming into welterweight, the guy had like the best resume out of all the dudes from 140. He beat all
did.
these monsters at 140, and people are, people are relentlessly called him a ducker, a cherry picker, stuff like this. You know,
Well, the Ron
it's
Salka
hard to
fight was
understand.
pretty bad.
Well, it was, but whose fault was that for not offering him a better fight? The dude, how much momentum did the guy have? The guy was ready. He had more momentum than Spence, more momentum than anybody else on that PBC
Right.
side. They could. I mean, he was basically a TV dinner. They could have gave him a couple pay-per-views or whatever. He has a Puerto Rican audience. They could have helped him out. And I'm not even going to get into the Canelo thing because we all know how that's going to go. But let me just say that I see it right now. People are going to say the same thing about Berlanga. People are going to get on him and stuff like that. I don't even think it's fair, but
You know what it is, though,
that's just
Paul?
how it is.
Look, here's what I want to say about that, because I mean, I don't think it's really that touchy of a subject. Like, here's the reality, okay? A lot of Latino fighters, especially when they have the support of their people, like take Canelo, right? Canelo has the support of his people. So everywhere Canelo goes, like, he's not worried about people booing him because his fans show up and they cheer for him, right? And they'll drown out anybody trying to boo him, right? He's not worried about being in a hostile environment in the crowd because his fans will be there, right? He gets the support, right? With Gennady Golovkin, over 1 million pay-per-view buys. Mexico, 20 million people. I mean, the country basically stops moving just to watch Canelo. That support system, right, gives the impression that, and it's kind of partially true, to be fair, but it gives this impression like, you know what? They're in a position of, like, Canelo's in a position of power. He has a little more freedom to make fights happen because he's like this A side that can select opponents, and he's not really having a difficult time navigating trying to make fights happen with guys, because what I mean, like, no one's going to turn, unless you're Caleb Plant apparently, but or maybe Charlo, I guess, when he was offered the 15 million. But very few people are going to really turn down a Canelo fight because it's too much of a risk, too low reward. You know what I mean? If anything, guys want the sweepstakes when they fight Canelo. He has like a little bit of a different problem. Like, he'll offer them 10 times what they've ever made, and they want to double that, and they're insisting on it and all that. But the issue is, like, the perception that, hey, the Latino fighters, they get all this support, the media's behind them, look at all the attention they get, and so there's that spotlight on them. But the reality is, we cannot use their fan bases against them. Like,
Exactly.
we can't do that because those fans are showing up to support their fighter. That's all they're doing. That doesn't mean, like, it's making their popularity, like, undeniable in that sense. And I get the sense anyway that, since there's a perception that, hey, Canelo will call the shots, Canelo could wake up and he could make a fight happen if he wants. Right? Well, apparently not, because he could offer Billy Joe Saunders a fight, and we hear all these excuses, right? He can offer Charlo, according to his own brother, $15 million, and the fight doesn't happen, right? He offers Caleb Plant a fight. It doesn't happen, right? So what do? It's human nature to automatically blame the guy that you perceive to have the power and the leverage, okay? And I think that's what's going on. You know what I mean? I don't think it's that much of a racial thing. I think it's the fact that our people really support our fighters, and a lot of these, not all of them, by the way, but like in your example, the Canelo, right? Berlanga now, he's kind of creating a Puerto Rican fan base. There's that perception that these guys don't have a hard time making fights. So if a fight doesn't happen, it's their fault, right? Canelo's a money man, so the fight doesn't happen. It's his fault, goddammit. And that's really what it is, right? With fighters that don't have that leverage, there's that. What's the perception? The perception is, well, they're the ones trying to make the fight, and they're not in a position of leverage, so therefore they have a harder time making fights. Look, I always criticize Canelo. Okay, I'm sorry, Cartel, that's not going to end, right? But I did say this, and I'll continue to say it. When I criticize Canelo, because I hold him to a very high, if not the highest standard, okay? I understand the position he's in, okay? And I understand that he probably has a little more privilege to make fights happen than other fighters. But let's not ignore the fact that he has his own obstacles, okay? Too many fighters think, hey, if I just say no to a Canelo fight, all right, no one's going to accuse me of ducking. Because hey, I mean, he's the leverage guy. He's the A side. Okay, I could just say that the contract wasn't fair. I could just say that I didn't have enough time to train. I could just say whatever, and they're just gonna automatically side without the guy with the leverage, and that's really what it is.
Yep, it seems like our guys get punished because our fans show up. And hey, if you want things to turn around at the fights, or I mean, we've seen people complain about weigh-ins, about how their fighters getting booed and shit like that. Like, I mean, well, look, show up to the weigh-in. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I've never been to one of these big weigh-ins, but I don't think you have to pay for that. I think you just show up and you can watch it from my understanding. So, I mean, really, you guys can't complain. Look, if you want your guy to not get booed, or you want him to get the loud cheers, like, hey, show up to the fight. Show up to the damn fight. It's that simple. Anybody else got anything?
But you know what I mean, though, right? That creates that perception. Oh, well, Canelo's got it made. He could wake up in the morning and just fight whoever he wants. Like, well, apparently not, because a lot of these guys have declined to fight him. So.
Yeah, and it seems like guys walked away from a lot of money too. For that fight. Chicano, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, well, I do think that sometimes you can look at history in boxing and see times where, perhaps a fighter has been ducked, but usually that's when people all agree to it. We got to remember that here on YouTube, a lot of people create narratives, and sometimes we get a little worked up because we're hate watching these channels. But at the end of the day, man, these are just YouTube agenda channels. Like, you got to understand that all that energy at the end of the day won't really matter, because what we're going to be looking at are accomplishments, the resume. That's what we're going to be looking at. So at the end of the day, people can talk all they want, but when you're looking back historically, you're not going to go, oh man, and he ducked this one guy and he didn't take this deal because he was a real good businessman. No, you look at the opponents, who they were, and what they accomplished in their career, and that's ultimately what matters. And that's why I am a boxing purist.
I agree. And a lot of the times when fights don't get made, or there's a possibility of a fight that could be made and it falls apart, like, again, we don't know the ins and outs of the contracts, and we know that these promoters, these guys, they don't like to make money. I mean, they don't like to lose money when it comes to any little thing. Like, especially when we got fighter A and fighter B. Fighter A on one promotional company, fighter B on another promotional company. Like, these guys will fight tooth and nail with each other over things like that. I mean, look at some of the biggest fights in history, and I'm not trying to compare some of these fights that we're talking about to these fights, but there's just an example, like Pacquiao Mayweather, right? I mean, neither side wanted to budge on certain things. And I mean, look, we had literally guys from Showtime and guys from HBO calling the fight. I mean, the same thing with Tyson Lewis. We had, both guys from both sides calling the fight. We had two PA announcers announcing Tyson, and two different guys announcing Tyson and Lewis. So, I mean, every little thing, these guys, they want something, and it's not always the easiest thing to do. Like, I understand we as fans, we want to see the best fights. I do too. But I'm to the point in my life now where it's like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of bitching and moaning about the problems in the sport. I know they're there. They're not going away anytime soon. So unless there's like real contracts, and we can actually get some information on these contracts from people that are involved with it, then I don't want to hear ducking or any of this bullshit anymore, man. Go ahead, no, Paul.
No, that's pretty spot on. I mean, it's good to talk with other people. That way, bounce ideas off each other, and that sounds pretty legit.
Yeah. I mean, anybody else got anything that they want to mention about this topic? And if not, we got a few more minutes here, about 10 more minutes. We can go to the chat and take some questions, as long as they're real questions, But anybody else got anything they want to add to this? All right. Looks like we're good. So we will open up the chat for some Q&A. You guys want to ask us anything?
Is there no one else?
You're pretty quick with that one, man. I got to give you that. Yeah, we'll wait and see if anybody's got any questions. If not, then,
I gotta love how I always talk about the spectrum of things, right? And I don't know, man. Like I find it hilarious, right? That depending on how much of a Canelo hater you are, you could I could be a Canelo fanboy in the eyes of that person. You know what I mean? But that's all I wanted to say.
Well, we've been around the block quite a few times.
Do I have a spot in the cartel, or is this? Am I not allowed?
Hey, man, everyone's welcome in the cartel. Everyone can like Canelo, man. He belongs to nobody. And I'll say this. Sorry, go ahead, G-Funky.
No, you go ahead.
I just got something to say. If we're going to be wrapping up soon, nothing wrong with liking Canelo. I'll have to tell you this. Like, the idea of us being shamed needs to be over with. We need to take away that shame. It's a self-imposed idea, and I don't know really where it came from, but it's costing us. You guys, he's the greatest Mexican boxer of our generation, and he might possibly be the greatest fighter of this generation. I mean, who else can we really consider? I mean, this era is starting to close. Like Dwyer likes to say, the new generation is already here. We already see the 23-year-olds coming up. So, I'm going to start taking seriously what he's doing, and I'm going to start assessing him. And in the future, I want to have an answer from both of you guys, like what you think of and what you consider when you say, okay, well, is somebody an all-time great, and this is where I put him. I want to know the considerations that you have for that, because I want to ask that question, like, where should we put Canelo on the list? Because you know what? He's chipping away at it, and there's nothing wrong with us covering it in real time.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, well said from El Presidente, Chicano Prophet. Okay.
I mean, he's all right.
Jay with Ice asked me, G-Funky. Jay with Ice asked me, says a different question, but why you sound way different with the mic than with, I guess you're saying without the mic. I mean, yeah, I know my voice does sound a little bit different on this headset I use. I think it actually sounds a little bit better with the headset than with just the regular mic from my camera. But yeah, I guess it just comes through a little bit different on this headset, Bam Bam Tweed asks, and by the way, shout out to Bam Bam Tweed, man. He's a loyal listener. And the thing is this with Bam Bam Tweed, I got to say this. He doesn't always agree with what we say here, but God damn it, look, he's here. He's not soft like a lot of these guys, man. I mean, I lost a lot of subs, man, the last couple of weeks to some of the things that I've been talking about here. But shout out to Bam Bam Tweed, man. I appreciate a guy like that, But he asks, what is our thoughts on Spence and Garcia? Who wants to start with that one, man?
Spence, well, here's what I'll say, man. Under normal circumstances, I would just come here and I would say, you know what, I got Spence winning. Like, I think it's going to be a pretty, I'm not going to say the fight's easy. Like, I don't think Garcia's a guy you beat easily, but I think he'll beat him convincingly, right? But I just don't know I just don't know if he will ever be the same after that crash. We just don't. All of us are speculating and guessing. We won't know until someone hits him in that jaw, and I just don't know if Spence is the same. And that's a big X factor going into this fight. Like, even without that X factor, like, Garcia's dangerous. Like I said, it'll be a tough fight, but I would say that Spence will have a convincing win. But man, I gotta tell you, dude, like, I just don't know if Spence is the same. I mean, look, he was in a car crash. I remember when like news came out of the car crash, right? When I
Mhm.
first saw Spence been in a car crash and I saw pictures of the car, I'm not even joking, man. Like, in all seriousness, I thought he was
Yeah.
dead. I thought,
Yeah.
oh
That
shit,
was
we lost
ugly.
Spence. Like, Spence is gone. And then I heard he was alive. I'm like, what? Like, thankfully he like, survived and all that. Thankfully nobody got hurt, including himself. And but when I saw it, even when I saw it, you see his little body like just flying out of the vehicle in that camera angle, and I'm like, even though he wasn't in it when it's still like unbelievable that he survived, you know. And then I was hearing the reports like, oh, Spence is gonna be fine. He just suffered like he just lost his teeth and like the way they were describing losing all your teeth. I don't know if it was all of them, but teeth are like very strong, dude. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Our jaws are like very powerful. Like, our teeth especially, like they're attached to the gums, and he's a young kid, and like when I heard that, I said, man, I could guarantee you, and it turned out I was right. Like his face is probably all messed up. Because think about the type of impact to your mouth you would have to take for you to lose your teeth, right? So that's just something I want to say about that.
Yeah. Anybody else that wants to talk before I give my thoughts, they can go ahead.
I think Sonteo's back.
Yeah, I'm
Guess
back.
who's back?
Well,
Back again. Sonteo's back. Call a friend. Sonteo's back. Okay, go ahead, bro.
we just received a lot of new information. We just, just in the last couple of days, you've heard that his first days back in the gym were like really shaky, and that sparring was stopped when he first started, and that eventually he was brought back slowly by Derek James, his trainer. So that's a new piece of information, another piece of information that I didn't know. Maybe you guys knew, but I didn't. He says he doesn't even remember the night of the crash, and he doesn't remember the 2 or 3 weeks of being in the hospital. So I think D Styles on, I think he's hitting it right on the head when you're saying, these are things that could not only change him for the next fight, but for the rest of his life. Your teeth are literally bones in your jaw. The strongest muscle in your body is your jaw. So I don't know. Danny Garcia has that what they call that no left, no
left hook.
look left hook. So if he gets caught with one of those, we don't know what's going to happen, and we don't know how he's going to react. So
Hey,
I
by
just
the
wanted to
way,
add that.
No Look Hook was popularized here on YouTube, okay, by a bunch of us on here, and then the rest of social media ran with it. But that was an old school thing. But a lot of people don't know that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead and finish up, Sonteo.
No, that's it. That's pretty much all I got to say.
Got to cut him off. I knew when to go in.
The timing of the dragon. All right. No Paul Chicano Prophet, thoughts on Spence Garcia?
I'm just really looking forward to that fight in general. I've watched some interviews, and I feel like there's a lot of mutual respect going on between both the camps. And it should make to be a very entertaining fight. Like, I don't personally like Danny Garcia that much as far as when he's in the ring. I can't really remember when I've rooted for him specifically, but I've always enjoyed seeing him in the ring. I think he brings a lot to a fight, and him mixing up with Errol Spence. I mean, I think we should all be pleased about that one. It's a great fight for us to see what happens. I wish it would. I wish that it wouldn't tie us up from seeing a Crawford fight, but I mean, if there is going to be a fight that we do see, I do think that's going to be a good one for us to see.
Absolutely. That's the fight we all want to see at 147. Who knows if we'll get it or not? Nopal, any thoughts? Spence Garcia.
Man, what a great fight. And, even without the accident, I would even without the accident, I would put this fight kind of like at a 60-40. But, with the accident, I think I'm going to put it straight down the middle because, we don't know, what's up with Spence, just like Styles and Bale said. But, a lot of, I think, there's some fights where I kind of thought they were a little closer. I think the fight with Sean Porter, I thought that fight was kind of close with Danny Garcia, as well as I actually thought Sean Porter beat Spence. even if they could have called that a draw, I would have been, I would have thought that was perfectly fine. So, it's a great fight, really good fight, and looking forward to it. I would put it right in the middle, just because of the fact that you don't know, and I think Danny Garcia has a really good chin, and I think he has a good chance to pull it off.
Yeah, good stuff there, man. Now, here's what I'm going to say. When I do my prediction video, and I will be dropping that soon as the fight gets closer, I'll break it down, both fighters, the way that I see it. And I'm going to break that fight down, and I'm not even going to consider the accident because Spence says he's okay, so I'm going to have to just go off his word. Now, obviously, that's something that we have to consider in real life, but I'm going to break it down and pretend like it's not even a thing. I'm just going to break it down, both guys at their best, and whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to make excuses after if I'm wrong. You guys know I don't do that. I've got a proven record of not doing that here. But these type of accidents, man, and life-changing events, they can do things to a person. I've seen it with people that I know in my personal life. I've experienced things like this, that life-changing events. Sometimes it works for the good. Sometimes it works for the bad. I hope in this case with Spence, I hope he definitely, takes a look in the mirror and realizes that, he made it out of a situation that a lot of people don't make it out of, and that it's time to make some changes. He decided to drink and drive, which I think, and this is not just a knock on Spence. We see this way too many times with professional athletes. You guys got enough money to hire someone to drive you. Like, you don't need to be drinking and driving. If you want to go out and drink, pay a limo driver, whatever it may be. You guys got the feria to do it. Like people like us, sometimes we don't, and I'm not trying to excuse people that do this, that are regular people, but these guys have the money to hire someone to drive for them, man. And I just hope that he considers either doing that or considers, when he's out drinking, maybe have somebody else drive or whatnot. But I hope that he definitely sees this as a second chance at life and makes the best out of it. But besides all that, I think it's a great fight, man. Danny Garcia, Paul, you made some good points. He's shown a very good chin throughout his career. He's been in some close fights with guys like Sean Porter, Keith One-Time Thurman. He's been in there with some guys that can hit. Matisse down at 140. And I have not seen him buzzed in any of those fights. So I think he's a live dog in this fight. He's got great timing with that left hook, and we all know that timing can be a killer for a lot of guys. So I think he's definitely a live dog. Spence, obviously he's the naturally bigger guy. I've always said this, man. I love Spence's jab. I think he's got the best jab in boxing, and it comes from the southpaw position. And he doesn't telegraph it. That thing, it just comes out, and it's not the quickest jab, but again, he doesn't telegraph it. So when it comes out, you just don't see it. He just takes these little tiny steps towards you. I noticed that in the Mikey Garcia fight. He was able to pop Garcia with that jab all night long, paint jobbed him for 12 rounds with it. And it's a thing of beauty, man. I really like it. So I think that that's the key for Spence in this fight. And like I said, I'm not going to get too far into my breakdown, but I think that's a big part of Spence's what he could do to win that fight. But a great fight, and hopefully Spence is okay from the accident. Here's another question we got. Crawford leaving Top Rank after Brook. I believe he should. I feel they could have done a deal a little better with him. Is that true? Is his contract up after this fight? I honestly, I don't. Like I said, I don't get involved with stuff like that. But
yes, it is.
No, it is. Okay. Well, if it is, then yeah, I think he should leave. He's made some good money there. He's been their number one guy at Top Rank. But we all know that the best competition is over at PBC. Now, whether he goes to PBC, that's a different story. We've seen guys just kind of promote themselves and just go wherever they want to go. Who knows what he'll do, but I think it's a good idea. What do you guys think?
I think what Crawford needs to do, man, is just at this point of his career, stay a free agent. You know what I mean? Like just stay a free agent, go fight by fight. That way you're flexible. I mean, in 2 years, everything could change, and all the smoke's at Top Rank. You know what I mean? So that's what I would do. I would do a fight by fight. If on your next fight, you work with Top Rank, they let them promote the fight, but you stay a free agent. Just go fight by fight. That's what Leonard did. At this point of Crawford's career, he just needs to be flexible. Okay, if he re-signs with Top Rank long term, all right, again, then I have no choice but to say he really doesn't want that smoke with Spence. I mean, if he does that, I just got to be honest.
Yeah.
No,
That's not out of pocket. That's not out of pocket to say, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're not making the fight any easier to make at that point. It doesn't mean the fight's impossible to make. It doesn't mean as a fan I'm not going to keep calling for the fight or anything like that. But I mean, I just think as a fan, it's going to be frustrating to see that. How about do this instead, bro? Just be a free agent. You can work with PBC. You can work with Top Rank. If you ever do move up to 154, maybe you can work with PBC. Maybe with Top, whatever it is, just stay flexible. That would be the best for Crawford, in my opinion. Okay, and that's what I would prefer as a fan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sonteo, what do you think, man? Does he leave Top Rank after this fight with Kell Brook?
I agree with everything D-Style's saying, but just looking at the history of Top Rank letting their stars go, it was not easy for Manny Pacquiao to break free of being under Top Rank. If I remember correctly, his first fight under Manny Pacquiao Promotions was that fight that he had against Lucas Matisse in China, I believe. And just by studying and just by watching how people tweet and what people say and looking at videos, I don't think it's that easy to break away. I don't think Top Rank is Bob Arum is a very prideful man, and he's not gonna looking at it from the history. I think he sees it. He sees Terrence Crawford. He sees Mikey Garcia. He saw Oscar De La Hoya all as investments, and he expects loyalty back. And it's not that easy. It sounds. I agree with everything D-Style said. The next move for Terrence Crawford should be in a fight by fight basis. Yes, but I don't think Terrence Crawford has that business side of him like Mikey Garcia, where you can be on the phone and negotiating your contracts and hiring a lawyer and knowing what the comps are. Having his brother Mikey, having Robert as his brother, he knows what those comps are. He knows what a world title at 140 goes for. He knows what a unification fight goes for. So he has those numbers in his head. He knows what he's worth and he knows what he can go after. I don't think Terrence Crawford is that type of person. Now he can hire for somebody to do that for him. But these are all things that we're going to find out soon after this fight about where he ends up going. But in my honest opinion, Top Rank's not going to let him go fight by fight. Let him do the next fight with Top Rank and then the next fight without Heyman and then come back to Top Rank. That I think Bob Arum, just like most owners of big Fortune 500 companies, they got egos and they have a lot of pride, and it's gonna go against everything for them to let an investment of theirs go and do business somewhere else and they see it as their competition. Bob Arum sees Al Heyman as his competition. He sees Eddie Hearn as his competition. He sees Oscar as his competition. Everything wants to be in-house. Everything needs to be maximized profits for us. Top Rank, we're the best. We put on fights. We can put on fights anywhere over the world. So I wish Terrence Crawford the best. I hope he surrounds himself with smart people. I hope he surrounds himself with people that are smarter than him in terms of negotiating, in terms of management, in terms of cutting deals and knowing the ins and outs of contracts. And I wish him the best. And I agree with everything D-Style saying. I hope it's fight by fight after his official, I think, 5-year contract with Top Rank is over. That's my piece.
Yeah, man. Stay flexible. That's the only way we can get that Spence fight in the future That's if he gets past Garcia. You know, like we don't want to overlook Danny Garcia, but you know, Chicano Prophet. What do you think, man? Does he leave Top Rank after this fight with Kell Brook?
I think if he is indeed free to leave, that I think he absolutely needs to do it. If we're going to see the Spence fight, we all know that he needs to go to the quote unquote other side of the street. Now, I always think that the best should fight the best in the division, and it sucks to me that we have to consider those things, but it does matter. So if he wants to take his career in his own hands and he actually wants to get in the ring with Spence, he knows what he needs to do. And so I'm looking forward to having that fight possibly happen next year.
Yep. No, Paul. What do you think, man? Is he gone after this fight?
Man, if I was Terrence Crawford, that would be my only choice. The only decision I could make is to leave Top Rank because, like I said earlier, I mean, the dude's 33 compared to other boxers, and with the hype surrounding him and all that, he's not making that much money. So, you know, if he's free to, that would be the only choice. Or else, you know, what's he going to be? Another Timothy Bradley, basically? Just, you know, they're like, that, like, you know, like what? I mean, he could retire undefeated, but what's his resume gonna look like? Oh, you just beat a bunch of guys that, you know, you were heavily favored to beat, and, you know, like that, a lot of fighters could have been undefeated without taking no risk. Imagine, you know, Oscar De La Hoya, if he would have took his career with, you know, like, if he would have had a career like that, like, no, I'm not going to fight that guy, I'll just fight this guy. Not to say that that's what Terrence Crawford is doing, but by staying with Top Rank, he's choosing to have that safety because he knows that, oh, the fight can't be made, you know, with the PBC guys, and, you know, it's cool. I'll stay undefeated and, you know, still get paid. I mean, I'm making for sure money here. It's all good. So basically, that's all I got to say about that, man.
Yeah, I think we all pretty much agreed that it's for the best that he either leaves and just makes himself, you know, like D-Style said, as flexible as possible so that we can get that Spence fight for sure, man. I want to give these guys a chance. I'm pretty sure you guys are already subscribed to D-Style Boxing, but I want to give these guys, Sonteo, Chicano, and Nopal, an opportunity to put the links to their channels in the chat, because this is HCP Familia here, all right? And if you guys like what D-Style and I do, then you're going to love what these guys do too, okay? Because, again, they're part of the crew. So I want you guys, if you can, drop the links to your channels so that these guys can subscribe to you guys. Again, Sonteo does a lot of good work, man. He goes out there. He does the prospects for us. You know, once COVID's gone, I'm sure he'll be out there talking to fighters as well. So make sure you subscribe to him. And, of course, the Canelo Cartel. Both of these guys here. This was another great episode of HCP Uncensored. And again, guys, if you're listening, you guys can come on here and talk with us, whether you agree, disagree, you know, email me, gfunky84boxing@gmail. We'll get you on and you can say your piece, man. That's the way we get down. You guys want to say anything before I wrap it up?
No, man, great show. Thanks for having me on.
I'm good. Thanks for having me on as well.
Anytime, guys. Again, this is HCP Familia, man. Anytime. Familia is always welcome in G Funky's casa. All right. Anytime. Just make sure you call me and make sure I'm home. All right. That way you're not standing at the door and no one's here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. D-Style, anything you want to add, brother, before I close it up?
Hey, thanks for everybody for tuning in, man, and see you guys next week.
Yep. And tomorrow we will be doing the roundtable, the Leave It in the Ring roundtable on D-Style Boxing's channel. So make sure you guys are there for that one. As this is G Funky, I speak for the rest of the crew here. HCP, we are out, man.